All right, we are in Austin, Texas. We're at Archery Country, probably like the most known bow shop in the whole entire world. And I'm going bow hunting next month, and archery season is like right at our doorstep right now. I've been shooting a bow that's a few years old, and so I'm gonna be getting a new bow, and this is an opportunity for us to go through what does it look like? What do you need if you're a new bow hunter? What are some things that you should be considering, and what kind of bows should I be looking at? There's a lot of great manufacturers out there, from PSE to Hoyt to Mathews. I've been shooting a Mathews my whole entire life, so I'm gonna be going from a Mathews VXR into like the brand new Mathews. So I'm excited, but in the journey of learning about the new bow, restringing it, what arrows we're putting on it, what grain arrow heads, velocity. Tyler's sitting here explaining like they can literally take what in my mind is the ballistic performance of a bullet, do it with an arrow, print out a tape, and it'll have all of my ranges on there. So like 2024 bow hunting is pretty wild and pretty different. So I'm here with Jordan and Tyler. We're in Tyler's shop, and Jordan is kind of like the man that's going to be walking us through and explaining what does it look like to set up your new bow. Okay, so the new Mathews is called the Lift. We have a couple of different widths.
Axle to axles.
Axles?
Yeah, axle to axle length.
Axle to axle length. This is a 29.5, and they have a 33 inch. Kind of a big fan of the green, kind of matches my old bow. So this is what we're gonna be going with. Obviously, this is a very naked bow right now. So we're gonna have to get a stabilizer, we're gonna have to put some sights on there, and we'll go through all of that, but we're gonna take this into the final ready to go hunt bow, and I guess here we go. So what all do we need to put on this bow to make it a ready to go bow?
We need to put on the rest, throw on a sight, we'll throw on a D-loop that's set for our arrows, a quiver, and that's really all we need. Maybe we throw on a stabilizer, some limb legs, something like that. But yeah, that's what we need to get going. Normally I like to start with the rest.
Okay. All right, let's go check it out.
So your rest is kind of your interface between the bow and the arrow. We like these drop away rests because the launcher is going to move out of the way before the vanes have a chance to contact anything. There's two popular styles, a cable driven and a limb driven. Like the Hamski. I prefer the QAD myself. I like the tighter containment, but they both work equally well.
This is what I have on my other bow. This is what I'm familiar with.
Yeah, let's run that guy.
Cool. And then sights. So lots of sights here.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of new technology with sights. So that one has 5 pins in it, like not really adjustable. I have to set my pins at the distances. So right. I have like a 20-yard pin, and I have a 60-yard pin. And then everything in between there is where I have my pin set.
Right.
It's different now.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Can be. Yeah, if you wanted to.
So Tyler's showing off his bow, and he has literally a printed tape that goes around. So if I lays an animal at whatever distance, I can literally just roll on, and it sets those pins to the distance that I am from the animal.
Right.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And that comes from weight of the arrow, grain of the arrowhead, velocity.
All that.
Dude, so sick.
One of our more popular ones would be the Spot Hogg Fast Eddy, right? So we got a 3-pin, 20, 30, 40, which is pretty much all you need in Texas, right?
Yep.
For most feeders, you got a 20 to 30 yard shot, and then it allows you to dial out to 100 or so yards.
Okay. On stabilizer side, I had a kind of like a new prototype thing and the original Mathews. Do you have any ideas? So one, what does a stabilizer do? So obviously the rest holds the arrow.
Right.
We aim with the sight.
With the sight, yeah.
And then what is the purpose of a stabilizer?
So a stabilizer is going to resist pin movement. So instead of covering a large area quickly, it'll cover a smaller area more slowly, right? So it's going to resist movement. So like your heartbeat, all your little shakes, right, at full draw, is going to help control those.
How does a rod, how does it, like a piece of of material hanging off the front of the bow. How does that do that?
Do that through leverage, right? So you have a carbon rod that weighs essentially nothing, and then you have weight on the end, and that leverage is resisting that movement of the bow torquing essentially.
So between like an 8-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch, just the longer the stabilizer, the more stability that provides to the shooter?
I like to think of it as in inch ounces, right? So if you got 4 ounces on a 10-inch bar, you got 40-inch ounces. So you could have a 20-inch bar with half as much weight doing the same amount of work.
Okay, that checks out. Few different stabilizers here. Any preference from reasons why this is?
So yeah, I'd like to also look at other functions of the stabilizer, like the mule stabilizer, something to rest it on your arm. I like the quivalizer, which does things very similar, right? It's my quiver, but also lets me rest it on my arm or put it over my shoulder. So I like it because I got legs. I got something to kind of brace myself if I'm crouching around. And that.
Having used a few different stabilizers, I can definitely see with stabilizer and without a stabilizer as a shooter. Right. It's in comparison to really talented shooters, which I am not. I can see a significant improvement while I have that kind of same noticeable additional stabilization when I'm at full draw.
From this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is bigger, right? So it has a lot more surface area. So if it's windy, you're gonna feel that.
Yeah.
But if it was me and that's the case, same thing. I'll probably just drop it at my feet and make the shot if I need to. But it doesn't bother me. It took a while to get used to, but now I would prefer this on than off, and that just took time with it, shooting it, right? Yeah. I'd say if you're gonna be doing a lot more spot and stock, if you're gonna be walking around, this is great or a great option, right? But if you're a tree stand, pop-up blind, then I would run a side quiver and like a mule just to help carry it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how that other one's set up.
Right.
Definitely walking and stalking more now than I was.
Right.
I'm not sure I'm ready for that jump.
I think I would stay back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's a tough sail.
Yeah. So we have our sight, our rest, our stabilizer, accessory just on the limb legs. The arrows from my VXR can be shot on this.
Oh yeah.
So being able to, with like arrow selection, not just arrowhead, we're gonna do videos about mechanical versus
fixed blades.
Yeah, fixed blades
right.
to field heads. For arrow selection, how does that work?
As far as which is the best arrow?
Yeah, to go with your bow.
It gets tricky. There's a lot of arrows essentially doing the same thing, right? And if we're shooting deer at 20 yards, we don't need anything super special, right? If we're needing to shoot an elk maybe at 70, 80 yards, maybe there's something more to consider, right? To build into an arrow. I'd say now 5mm is pretty standard diameter, and 4mm being the other counterpart, right? A little bit smaller.
The benefit of a 4mm to a 5mm, obviously there's a weight difference. There's a surface area and surface tension as it's flying. Does one give us more range, different velocity?
So range all correlates to arrow weight, right? You can have a heavy fat arrow or a light fat arrow, and same thing for a skinny arrow, right? You can have a light arrow that's skinny or a heavy arrow that's skinny. So, you can really, with the amount of arrows that are available, you can really pick and choose exactly what you want. Skinnier arrows tend to be a little bit more brittle, right? They seem to break a little easier, but the penetration, the performance benefits are there, right? Versus like a 5mm or bigger, maybe more durable, right? If you're looking to reuse arrows, right? Maybe around here you're shooting a bunch of pigs, so maybe like a full metal jacket or something bigger holds up a little better.
Yeah. When you have little tiny projectile that's traveling at, by the time it hits an animal, 1,800 feet per second. This entire energy is going to be pointed and directed at this tiny little surface area.
Right.
And that punch energy, which is a different type of, for shooters, it's I think hard for people to understand that it goes from this tiny little projectile that's hitting something, and whatever energy it's carrying with the weight of it, that's it. For a bow hunter, you have the projectile attached to here, whether it's going to be like a fixed blade or a mechanical, and then the entire energy of this entire shaft that's going to be driving this tiny little thing into your target. That's
right.
It's pretty rad.
Right. Yeah, we're not transferring energy. We're just putting a blade through something.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. And one, I appreciate your patience and explanation. So what do we have to do to get this all set up?
I'll throw the rest on, all the other accessories, sight, stabilizer. I'll put a new D-loop on there and see how it looks.
Some arrows. All right, a pretty important piece of equipment is your release. One is, I don't know, when I think of Robin Hood, he's like,
Yeah.
He's doing everything with his fingers.
For sure.
Well, I have mighty fine fingers.
We all don't want to hurt our fingers.
Yeah, we don't want to hurt our fingers, but why not just pull the string back with our fingers? And why use a release? And then we'll get to the different types of releases.
So not using your fingers. One, these bows are wired for sound. They're running and hot. So you don't want to, it will hurt your fingers, number one. Number two is just, it's 3 more points of contact on the string. So if you come off fast, if one finger comes off first, it makes the string go a little different. With a D-loop and a release style and a release, we can do, basically, you're just 1 point of contact that's making it all go forward. It makes everything less complicated, less likely to screw up and throw your shot. There's different, so there's all different kinds. There's a ton of different kinds. There's really 2. There's a handheld and a wrist release, but in these there's dual caliper ones, there's single calipers, there's everything like that. You can go into all kinds of like nuance on why one's better than the other, but the reality is whatever you're comfortable with.
In simplicity, it is a single point of attachment onto the string,
Yep.
that has effectively a trigger.
Yep, exactly.
So when you're not releasing with your big old meat booger eaters.
Exactly.
You're literally pulling a trigger, mechanically releasing a single point of contact on the string that will let that string, which moves super fast now, way faster than one of the long bows.
Yeah, way faster. Yeah, it's accuracy. You can do the same thing. It's no different than having anchor points on a bow. You can do the same thing over and over and repeat it. So hopefully you have the same results downrange.
So it's repeatable. The same attachment point with the same release, with the same amount of pressure to release. All of those things become completely repeatable. So what are some of the different types, and why would you use one over another?
I'll go over the simplest answer first. 2 different. There's a handheld, which is just what you're holding in your hand. This is mine. And there's a wrist strap release. So when we start people with this stuff, we usually tell them to do this only because it's on you. I can't tell you how many guys I've seen grab one of these and like start it, and then they just don't, everything's new to them, so they just let it go. And this thing crashes into the bow, it creates a dry fire, it's a bad scene. So anyway, usually we start people with the wrist style. It's attached to you. There's different.
I'm fairly certain I'm going to lose that.
Yeah, no, that's the other downside to these is if you lay it down in the heat of the moment while you're calling elk or something.
Yeah, there'll be 550 attached to that, and that will be attached to me in some way. It has to be, otherwise I'm going to lose it.
For sure. So full disclosure, I keep an extra one in my pack and a third one in my like bino harness because I'm like,
they're expensive.
They are. Yeah, they're $200-300. Like if you go Ultraview has one. They're expensive. I mean, they are. So
compared to
these guys, you can go the gambit. I've got $75 ones. I've got $200 ones. So the reality in this world is these are nice because it's attached to you. There's no, it's on your person at all times. You can have it hanging, whatever. The different styles of them are, Some of these have like a dual caliper, which is that.
Yeah.
So when you pull that little thing there, both of those little fingers come open.
Yep.
So I've heard this said before, some people don't like a dual caliper because if one caliper opens faster than the other, it's making the string do something a little funky. I don't know that any of us shoot well enough to know that kind of stuff, but that's one style.
Compared to-
yeah, so you've got this style, which is just a hook. Clean, simple, easy. These are super popular. We sell a ton of those. And the rest of them are all a version of one of these. It's either a hook or a little set, something that does that. On these guys, on handhelds, it's basically, in essence, you're hooking that on the string just like that. The UltraView is another pretty popular one. Same deal. These are $300, but you're clipping that on the string, you're hooking your string in there, and then you're pulling a trigger in essence. There's pluses and minuses to all of it.
Yeah.
A lot of it boils down to when guys get into stuff like this, where it's like, this is the Silverback by Knock On. This one's all off of pressure. So what you're training yourself is get aim, you stay in the shot, and then you're letting this go, and then you're pulling a backward motion, and at a certain amount of PSI, it's sending it off. It basically makes you stay in the shot. It doesn't let you float and do all that stuff. It forces you to kind of really focus on like pulling back and staying on. For a hunting situation, not ideal.
Yeah.
At least for this guy.
Yeah. Not for this guy.
Not for this guy. The reality is any of them will work, man. Like any of these, this one you have works totally fine.
Yeah.
I got into this one years ago because I felt like it made me shoot better. That doesn't mean it does or doesn't.
Yeah.
For me, it gave me confidence, so I stayed with it. But yeah, if this is what you like and love, stick with that. That's what you're used to.
That's what I'm used to.
Yeah, they're good. They're good. So, yeah, man, little WD-40.
My old release would get stuck in the back position sometimes, and I'd have to like push it forward to hook onto the string. So we're gonna go and advance to a new release here, and there might be a little bit of a learning curve as I get through this. All right. Well, that's really cool.
All right, so for this guy, we got a couple options for, we want to move the sight down, we're hitting low, right?
Move the sight down. That's so opposite of
Right.
rifle. Okay.
Right.
Move the sight down.
So we got a lot of options. We can do it right here, we can do it right here on this rail, or we can do it right here. And for now, this is the easy adjustment, so we'll start here.
If you have any feedback on stance, on my release, I consider myself very coachable.
So you're a little pulled back, right? You do what everyone does, and when you draw back, we kind of want to pull in and hunker down. And it's not a proud stance. Don't pull your shoulders back, but stay tall and keep your head between your feet. So you're drawing back and kind of coming down a little bit like that. Keep your chin up is the way I like to think of it, and bring everything up to you.
Okay.
That looks a lot better than the previous round when he was favoring the back foot, right? What I think we should do is move that peep sight up just a hair.
So confirm this afternoon, and you recommend to do windage, so your horizontal adjustment at like 40 yards?
Yeah, a little bit further out.
Okay.
Because 1 or 2 clicks at 40 won't move you at 20.
Yeah. All right. Now we're gonna go, what's next?
I go build a tape. So
this little right here, this is, for a rifle, it'd be like BDC, the arrow drop is going, they're gonna print out a tape that's gonna go on here, and I'll be able to, and this purple will always be my top pin.
That'll be your bottom pin.
Okay.
So this is like your turret on your rifle scope, and then you'll dial that to whatever yardage.
Sick. So of my 3 pins, if the bottom, somebody's at 40, and I dial this, I don't even need to dial it, 'cause the bottom will be at 40. If something's at 60, I dial this to 60. The top pin is...
We don't know.
Okay.
Right.
So this is just the bottom.
Just the bottom pin,
Got it.
right? With some practice, or if we put a different pointer on there, then it'll all correlate. But it doesn't, it's 20, 30, 40. Once you move past that, it doesn't hold a 10-yard gap.
Okay. Awesome. There
Cool.
we go. So now setting what is our arrow drop. I think then we get to go home and play with it all afternoon, make sure that we're right there. So cool. All right, so bow's set up. Roy, we're gonna go back and shoot some more at the house on the new quiver target, which is like this really cool app that shows impacts. Got an arrow because one of them was bent. Jordan walked us through everything. I realize that hunting seems sometimes like the barrier of entry feels imposing and daunting. When you come into a place like this and you talk to people like this that literally know everything, they're not gonna judge you, they're gonna like welcome you with open arms, come to a provider course, but just take that first step, which is sometimes the hardest, just to walk through the door. You can get on YouTube, you can look all you want, you can research all you want, but ultimately you still gotta walk through the door and come and talk to somebody like Jordan that's gonna like get you set up. And that's what they're gonna do. Like this whole entire line of people here, that's all they're doing. They're learning. This guy hasn't shot a bow in 10 years, comes in here and he was putting groups together like this, which is awesome to just get back into it. Put your ego aside. Jordan, you got any words of wisdom for somebody wanting to get into archery hunting?
I think you nailed it. Just come in. You got to take that first step. It can be daunting, but we take care of everyone. So
It's the truth, man. Like a good bow shop will just be like, we got you. We're gonna take care of you. Let's get you squared away. So follow Archery Country. If you have any questions about anything that we did, if there's anything that we could have done better, get in the comment section. Let us know. I don't know everything. Jordan knows quite a bit. He doesn't know everything, but like the collective knowledge of everybody on the internet sometimes, because sometimes people just like are absolutely insane and wrong. But we'll be able to figure it out. So go subscribe, follow Archery Country, and take that first step. Walk in the door and go on this journey that is learn how to provide for your family. All right, stay safe, stay free.